FreeMMOStation.com.
We're a couple months into 2014, and while we wait for the next big names like EverQuest Next and Black Desert to come by, something that can still take quite a while, we have to keep ourselves busy until then, right? So, while it's too soon to make a new and proper top 10 with free MMORPGs, we decided to give you some suggestions for the time being. Please know that we are narrowing it down into 3 categories: MMORPG, Shooter, and MOBA, and keeping it limited to 4 games in each one. With a few notable exceptions, we are choosing recent games, so keep that in mind too. At the end of the video, we're gonna even give you some more suggestions. So, in no particular order, here are some games that will definitely keep you entertained for quite a few months. It's our top free games to play in 2014. Tera is probably the hottest free-to-play MMORPG out there right now. The amazing visuals, the exciting action combat make for one hell of a game. And by now you probably heard about the somewhat generic quest and the grind needed to reach endgame. But you shouldn't make this turn you away from the unique character classes, impressive bosses, and then there's quite a few epic moments that no other MMORPG has yet to deliver. Just like Tera, Rift launched with a subscription model, but later turned free-to-play, and we're glad it did. While it can be criticized for apparently taking too much inspiration from World of Warcraft, this is a great game that stands on its own thanks in part to the incredible polish at release. It's a very rare thing for MMOs, and also the Rift events were a great addition to a somewhat generic, but now oh so absorbing and rich MMO. Neverwinter has suffered a lot from the fact that most diehard fans were expecting a massive, unique open world game. What we got was a very good game that plays good homage to a very rich universe, one that most studios would be afraid to tackle. So while Neverwinter isn't exactly one of a kind, it's a damn fine game, and one that will keep both fans and newcomers alike entertained for quite some time. Even more if they decide to explore the Foundry, the content creation tool that comes with the game. Finally, our heartfelt recommendation to Dragon Nest. It's one of the first action combat MMOs, and a game that really feels great to play. I can't stress that enough. It all fits perfectly together, from the detailed anime visuals to the action combat that truly changes depending on the character that you choose. Some may complain about the gender lock, but we'd rather say that if there's one thing that we would change, it would be making it a true open world instead of instance-based. However, Dragon's Nest 2 is actually gonna do that. So we absolutely cannot wait. If you like to have a lot of fun with your shooters, then the recently released Loadout is a perfect choice. This game has 2 great things going for it. And first, we have the comic art style, pretty much unique in a genre so saturated with bland military shooters. And then we have a feature that is extremely original and should appear in most shooters from now on, which is the in-depth weapon customization. And by that, we don't mean just adding a scope, changing the clip size. No, we're kind of talking about completely changing the way your weapon looks and shoots, totally. This is of major importance in the battlefield, since looks can be deceiving, and you're going to be regularly surprised by the effectiveness of the weaponry. Also, Stallone and BA, but let's not call them that. Warframe definitely has a really sharp visual identity and a lot going for it. It's fast-paced, really stylish, and the slogan, "Ninjas in Space," captured the attention of thousands of players. There's a nice quantity and variety for the Warframes, and the gameplay is exciting, although it does get a bit repetitive. It's a good game, and it truly shines when you play it just a little bit at a time so that it never gets boring. The mech genre was kind of in need of an overhaul, and then suddenly 2 games showed up: MechWarrior Online and Hawken. And while the former is more of a tactical combat kind of game, and the latter is just really pure unrelenting warfare. Some compare Hawken to Call of Duty, but we wouldn't go there. Hawken offers its own bunch of tactical maneuvers, and the gameplay slightly slower paced, but very weighty, with great sensations. Hawken is a different kind of shooter, and it's a thrilling one. PlanetSide 2 is the sequel to one of the few true MMO FPS games ever created, and one that absolutely delivers. The battlefield, spread across a few different continents, is huge, and with many ways of approaching the enemy base, vehicles included. When you pass the difficult first hours and become truly involved in the game, this is the real gem. However, such a massive game comes with a few hiccups that need to be solved with time, including balance and optimization issues. PlanetSide 2 is one of the great games that have their share of bugs, but they're still mind-blowing anyways. League of Legends is still the colossus that it became a few years ago, with millions of players battling with more than 118 champions to choose from. This is a competitive game, and as competitive as they come. And the community isn't said to be very friendly to newcomers, but really don't let that put you off of this game. For years, it has reigned supreme as the best MOBA, and now it is finally getting fierce competition. Dota 2 is League of Legends' main competition, and we're all expecting Blizzard's Heroes of the Storm to divide the fans of the genre once again. But back to Dota 2, a MOBA game that has an incredible depth and demands a lot of the players to be fully appreciated. But it's a fantastic experience, polished and balanced like any other game of the genre can only dream of. If you have a lot of time to spend, then Dota 2 could be extremely rewarding. With SMITE, Hi-Res Studios tried something new to the MOBA genre, choosing a third-person view instead of the overly popular and cloned to exhaustion top-down view. But really, that's just part of what makes it one heck of a game. With a cast of powerful characters and truly skill-based combat, it's very different from the kind that we've seen in the two more popular MOBAs. It's easy to pick up, but with incredible depth. SMITE is a lot of fun. And then we have Prime World, an unsuspecting offer from a Russian developer known for delivering great strategy games. The studio decided to put all their experience into one single game, turning in a mix of genres that has rarely been seen before. While a MOBA at its core, Prime World mixes elements of castle building and collectible card mechanics to spice up the game. It's far from perfect. Sometimes the design decisions seem kind of weird, but it's worth it because most of it works and could easily very well be seen in future MOBA titles. And there you go, guys, a dozen or so games to keep you entertained for quite a few months. But just in case you've played some of these, maybe all of these, we did have to narrow it down, we're gonna go ahead and give you some extra suggestions. So have fun, guys, thanks for watching, and we'll see you again soon.
Still not sick and tired of all the MOBAs yet? Good for you, because the developers of Heroes of Newerth has just announced another one, Strike. This is another free-to-play MOBA, and the studio expects the two games to compete between